Hello, everyone. Mike here. Good to see everyone. Sorry things are a little late this week. Um, had some things that kind of had to get taken care of before I wanted to come on and talk about them. So let's get right to it. Hope everyone is well. Please like, subscribe, share. I'd appreciate that. But let's get right to what I want to talk about this week. Um, well, first we had the snow. We had about 12 to 14, maybe even as much as 18 inches where I live. And it's going away pretty quickly. It was a much better experience than the previous storm here in South Jersey. It seemed like everything was lined up perfectly, and I mean in a good way. The forecast was correct. The towns had everything prepared and were ready to go, and people stayed off the roads. So it's really gotten cleared up a lot quicker than it did the last time. Plus, it's a different type of snow, which helped, and all that. So hopefully that'll be the last big one we have this year because I can't deal with it anymore. It's just too much. Luckily we had someone come and help shovel us out, which is a big deal because I just can't keep up with it anymore. Unfortunately, as my physical condition is. Got my Springsteen tickets. Got them for Washington in the end of May. I think it is going to be a spectacular show in DC. Bruce is very fired up, to say the least, right now. And in DC itself, he will be extremely so. And I was also very pleased to see that Tom Morello will be joining him on this tour. The guitarist for Rage Against the Machine. He has played with Bruce and the E Street Band previously. It will just be spectacular then, in my opinion. I'm really looking forward to going. So let me catch you up health-wise, because this is kind of like a Parkinson's journey vlog, as it is. So yesterday, well, let me backtrack a little bit. Previously, I've talked about the two ruptured discs I have, C6 and C7, from the falls, from the dreams I've had, where I was running and I really tried to run. Progressively, I've had more and more discomfort, and so much so that a couple nights where it's just incapacitated me. So I went and saw my pain management doctor, and the way I described the discomfort to him, he felt that it's a bursa sac issue in my left shoulder. So yesterday I went and had a steroid injection in the bursa sac around my left shoulder. I didn't have to be put out. They used the local. It really wasn't that painful, to be honest. I feel better. I don't feel 100% yet, or I don't know if I ever will, but it's definitely a lot better. So keep my fingers crossed that'll work. And, I don't know how long it'll last. I don't think it's a permanent thing, that's for sure. I know the epidurals I had were not permanent, and the second one of those just didn't do diddly squat. So, it is what it is. I just have a real feeling this could be a chronic condition that I may have to just cope with the rest of my life. Such is life. There are worse things to have to deal with. So that's where things have kind of been for the last week. I didn't want to come on before I had the procedure done, and then I would have to talk about it again in the next video. And I don't want it to seem like I'm always talking about the same thing. So that's why I kind of waited a little bit. But other than that, things are good, moving along. Hard to believe it's going to be March already in a couple days. A lot to deal with in the next month. I'm going to have to get taxes done, some other things, and the pleasure of having to sign up for Medicare, which will be something that will be quite a challenge, to say the least. But it's happening, I think, at the right time, so it'll kind of, I don't want to lose the coverage I have with the doctors I have. I'm not changing doctors. I'm not going to do that. So I've got to be real careful what I decide to do with Medicare. So I kind of have had an idea of what to talk about this week in regards to how I've dealt with Parkinson's or what I'm dealing with, and that's the basic diagnosis itself. I talked to a friend that I've mentioned who also does a Parkinson's vlog, Jeremy McDonald, and Jeremy did a live last week, and we were both discussing how the concrete diagnosis, the firmness of the diagnosis actually was a relief. And you may say, well, I can't understand that. It's a life-altering condition. How can you say you're relieved to find that out? Well, for me, it's pretty clear. A couple of years ago, I had an issue, and for all I know now, this could have been the first tip-off of Parkinson's. I was having breathing issues. Couldn't catch my breath. Was out of work for almost a month. They never really did find out what the cause was. And the not knowing what that caused that has always bothered me. This time, though, I knew. I knew what it was. The doctor was sure. So we knew how to go about how to attack it. And it's a big relief to know. Is it life-changing? Oh, God, yes. I mean, if you had told me in June that, by December I wouldn't be working anymore, I would have laughed at you. But I'm alive. I'm upright. I can do things still. Could be a lot worse. That's for sure. And that's how I choose to look at it. Optimism or being hopeful, whatever you want to call it. It's not being naive. It's life is going to constantly be adapting. It's going to be constant change, because I can't tell you from one day to the next what may or may not be bothering me. That's just the way it goes. You've got to be okay with that. And I think I am for the most part. When I can affect things like the discomfort and my discs and all that, I will try to change it and affect it the best I can. So we will take it one day at a time. I don't get too far ahead of myself. I don't plan too far in advance. Some things we do, like planning on going to Pittsburgh in May for my 65th birthday to see the Phillies, doing some other things, but, we're kind of trying to take it as each day comes. And when we do something, we always got to know if we have to change our plans, how we can go about doing that. So it takes a little more planning, but that's okay. That's all right. I can deal with that. So the week ahead, next Saturday, I have a very interesting thing to do. I was approached by where I went to college, Rutgers University in Camden, to be a judge in the National History Day competition for high school and grade school students in New Jersey at Rutgers Camden. So I said, yes, I'm going to go up and, interview kids and talk to them about their projects and help them move ahead in this competition. It's pretty good. They had a 1 hour training video I had to watch the other night. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be very interesting. And, I don't think I'll be able to film there for obvious reasons, but I certainly will take some pictures and talk about things. And so I may not do anything during the week next week. I may just wait for that, because that may be like a little longer video. I try not to make these too lengthy, and all that. So that's going to be the big thing, So I'm looking forward to that. Baseball season's right around the corner. Be watching the Phillies this weekend a lot, as much as I can. Trying to go about, do as much as I can around the house. We have some things we'd like to get done. Finally, we've got a little break in the weather. We can finally reorganize our Christmas stuff in our storage shed so we can get that done finally, and, just have a good weekend. It's going to be beautiful weather for the most part. Get out and do things. You know, yeah, definitely do that. Don't sit inside all weekend. Anybody. Uh, I'm lucky. I have a car now that has a panoramic sunroof, so I'll have that sucker open, let that sun shine in. It makes a difference. You're when you're riding around, the sun is hitting you, and it's not blinding me, but it's just way happier feeling having that. So everyone have a good week. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other, and remember, we are indeed all in this together. Take care.